accustomed to hearing about some teachers behaving badly. We certainly reported a number of those stories. But my next guest was accused of having had sex with her student. She, however, was found not guilty, but still lost her husband and more. Joining me is Jody Barris and her attorney, Derek Johnson. Jody, take me through this story. How close were you to actually losing your freedom, were you?
Yeah, I was very close to losing my freedom. I knew all along I didn't do it, but, in the public eye, I did. And so it was a scary thought that, I could go to jail.
What exactly happened? Tell us where this started and walk us through it.
Well, there was a student who I'd had as a junior, and his senior year, he accused me of having a sexual relationship with him and went to the school and told a teacher and an aide, and eventually went to the superintendent, and the superintendent had asked him what had happened, and he recanted his story and said, no, nothing happened. Eventually, the superintendent called the sheriff's department, and they were called to my classroom, and I was read my rights, and they questioned me in my classroom about this relationship that I supposedly had with the student. I was completely caught off guard, had no idea.
What did you think? What did you feel?
A combination of things. I was sick to my stomach. I wanted to throw up. I was angry. I was mad that someone would do something like this, that I was completely caught off guard. No one from the school even asked me any questions about it. It was, just thrown into the Wright County Sheriff's Department's lap, and then they came to me, and so.
I understand there were some texts that sort of were problematic. Is that right?
Well, he, at the time, my husband is the road superintendent, and so a lot of kids had my number. He would be the one that pretty much called school off, and so a lot of kids had my number, would text me the night before or early in the morning and ask me, are we having school today? And, he was one of those students that texted me about 29 times is what it came down to, and they were all my responses. There was 9 responses total, and all mine were, direct responses to him. I never texted him first. There was one group of text messages where he asked me to go to the prom, and, of course, I responded back to him, this is absolutely absurd. I'm your teacher. I would never go to the prom with you. And the very next day was the day that he went to the teacher and, accused me of having sex with him.
Derek, unfortunately, these days, so often we're hearing stories about teachers that do misbehave. Did these texts, playing devil's advocate, did these texts work against Jody?
They really didn't have any texts. They had a record that texts occurred, but the state could never produce the actual content of the text messages. So the student would come in and say, oh, this message said, that we were going to meet later, but they could never produce the actual body of the text. So we never really saw them. You just saw that they occurred.
Jody, I understand in spite of being found not guilty, you still lost a ton. Tell us about that.
Well, I guess, what do you mean by lost a ton? Are you talking about my marriage or
your
just
marriage? And I wonder what happened to your career. I mean, this is something that was still devastating in spite of being exonerated.
In the end, it hurt my children. They will always live with this, and it hurt our community, and it put a black cloud over my high school, which I graduated from. And, in the end, you just have to try to dig your way out and put a smile on your face.
Let's talk to Betty in Ohio. Betty, you have a question for Jody?
Yes, Dr. Drew. Jody, I want to ask you, this sounds like juvenile revenge on his part. Have you forgiven him, or are you able to bring a lawsuit against him for this devastation?
Well, it was kind of, I think he was upset I wouldn't go to prom with him. Mind you, a year before that, he was in my classroom and was kicked out numerous times. They actually removed him from my classroom. Under oath, he said, I hated her. I didn't respect her. I didn't want to be with her in the classroom. And so this was a kid, I don't know if he was getting back at me, but it is what it is now. Do I have to forgive him? Yes, I have forgave him. It's been the hardest thing in my life I've had to do. I had numerous opportunities to sue, different parties, and I chose to tell my story to help other teachers, and I believe in the long run it will help other teachers just to know that there's kids out there that can do this, that there's teachers that can make mistakes, and you don't know you're really even making a mistake. You're just trying to be kind. And
well, Jody, what was the mistake that we need to alert people to that you made?
Well, I think the biggest mistake was I was trying to be too nice. I would respond to, I still to this day can respond to the girls on my softball team or the girls on my volleyball team. And, I've never, since the trial, have had a male student text me. If it's someone I don't know, I definitely don't respond to it. I think that's what I've learned from this is you gotta have to draw yourself back today in today's society. I think it's changed a lot since I was in school, and you have to just
You have to set boundaries. You have to set boundaries. That's the whole idea. And particularly in a position of authority, those boundaries have to be very, very clear because people can misinterpret things or people can abuse your niceness, as you found out.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, Jody, Derek, the Lifetime movie is called My Life is a Lifetime Movie. It premieres October 17th, Wednesday at 10 p.m. It's an interesting challenge having to balance the rights of teachers and people in authority to justify or to make sure that whatever allegations are brought against them are in fact factual, but we've got to empower these victims. I mean, that's really the theme tonight, which is that when we blame the victim, we create more victims.